Hello, 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 everybody. Today is Friday. Listen, I see we have one person is online. If you will, please like, share, and tag this broadcast and let everyone know that Rare Image, the Conversation Podcast, is on the line. We do have a special guest on tonight, as you probably already saw, and we've been advertising all week long. A beautiful woman that I've been knowing quite some times, excuse me. And the conversation with her is definitely going to be great. And I know many of you may be traveling at this moment because this is the Independence Day weekend. And so you might be on the road or what have you. But if you will, just go ahead, like, share, and tag at this moment. Since we are here, we're just going to listen to some music as we get started. And just to let you know, we do not own the rights to this music. Let me repeat myself. We do not own the right to this music. Just want to take the time to encourage you on today with a great song by Vincent Bohannon. This is going to be real churchy. He Reigns. And as you're coming on, please let us know where you are listening to us from. Let us know where you are listening to us from. Like I said, it's a real churchy song. This is a real churchy song by Vincent Bohannon. And like I said, we do not own the rights to this music. All hail to the great I am. The song said, all hail to the King of Glory. All hail to the great I am. We do thank God for this Friday. God has definitely been good to us on today. If you're still in the land of the living, God has definitely been great to you. You're still breathing. You still get activities of your limbs to keep pushing forward on today. Listen, we're not going to hold you any much longer. We're about to get into our conversation on today, and we have a guest all the way from Humboldt, Tennessee. She started her business in the pandemic. As you already know, that we have been doing a segment on starting business owners who started business in the pandemic, and we want to have a conversation with them. Like, what was the spark? What was the ideal? Why the ideal? And those things. But at this time, we're about to bring our guest to the stage. If you will, please give her an emoji hand clap as we welcome Miss Candace Williamson-Gooch. Hello, hello, hello. How are you doing today? Can you hear us?
Can you hear me? Hello, how are you?
Yes. Yes, we doing. I'm doing great. How are you? So, how was your day?
What'd you say?
I said, how was your day? You can't hear us? Hear me?
What said one more time?
I said, how was your day?
How about yours? It's been
It's been good. It's been good. Today was a good day. Today was a great day. My whole week actually been great. Let me take this ticker off. I don't want nobody to think we still trying to play music and we just talking here. I see you got some company in the car with you.
who's in the car with me?
Yes.
Uh, sister.
Tell her we say hello.
They said hello.
Ah, great. So we're gonna go ahead and get into this podcast, into this conversation rather. I remember the last time we had talked about it at Chrissy's party. Had a little brief conversation. So I'm gonna ask some questions The first question is, what made you jump into this?
Can you repeat?
What made you decide to getting into the dessert, the cocoa bombs business? What was the passion behind it?
Actually, she had been on, surfing. The younger people they are surfing the net. She said, "Mama," she said, and so I looked at it and I was like, I was like, I don't know. It to me, then I just started about cocoa bomb. I hadn't heard of them, and so after me researching, I went that I needed it, so I made a friend to see how it tasted, and she told me that and then my sister and my daughter. That's how it came about. My daughter encouraged me to do it.
Man, so that is wonderful. That's were you afraid to start out doing this? Was it like I'm just gonna try and see, or I don't think I can do this?
Oh, I guess just the anticipation of it being something new, just trying to find the equipment, and how sometimes you feel like enough to do, but and so like I said, I remember decided, okay, I'm gonna go. I'm doing Facebook, business page for me, and tonight that I posted things when I woke up the orders, and so I'm like, okay, I'm like, I got to figure out, how to. And after that, it just
Yes, ma'am. Right now we have some technical difficulties. It seems like it's on your end, and I know that you're traveling. It's breaking up really bad.
I'm, it's a bad area.
Okay.
See if it'll.
Technology can be something else at times.
Change positions to be a little better.
You want to sign out, then come back in? I could do that for you.
Okay. All right. Is that any better?
If you can stay right there, it'll be a whole lot better. Oh, it start back breaking up. Let me try something different that I noticed that they've been teaching on the about stream is avatar ish. You won't be in it, but we will hear your voice. So we're gonna see how this turn out. Just hold on.
Okay.
Okay, so I can't do it from your end. You have to do it from your end. Set up where you can come in as an avatar. So what we're gonna do? We're gonna let you sign out, then you come back in. Okay, that's great. So followers, please excuse the technical difficulties at this moment. Those type of things happen. But sis, I have you on line by myself. Just want to talk about a lot of things we got coming up. This month is going to be a interesting month, and the topic is it's going to be interesting. So this month topic, after we discuss with Miss Candace, it's going to be hot boy, hot girl. Summer. I know. I know. Like really, why that? Why hot girl, hot boy, hot girl summer? We gonna be talking about the perceptions of men and women have about each other, far as physical looks, the mindsets, all of that is going to be discussing, and I'm really excited about this. I got one of my partners online. I think she is super excited about this conversation that we're going to be having, and it's funny because I've been talking to different people, a lot of women, and they are really really excited about the men part of our conversation. You absolutely right, sure. It's definitely going to be hot conversation. It's definitely going to be a hot conversation that we are going to have about each other. So now I'm gonna say this: if you feel like this conversation is not good for you, and you can tap out. Just make sure you sponsor us by sending us some money, which is $ rare image 26 $rare image 26. You can find us on Cash App. So no, still support us. But we definitely gonna be having a conversation about a lot of things, and like I said, I'm really excited about this. And also, the month of August, we're gonna be focusing on education. That is one of my pieces. I love talking about education and trying to get everybody in a good space because, believe it or not, education will help solve some of the situations that we deal with. So our guest just popped back into the line. We're gonna pray that everything works out fine. If not, we're gonna have to probably reschedule because I would love to have a conversation with Miss Candace Gooch. Hey, so here she go. Are you there? Oh man, it's still low and still breaking up.
Okay.
Ah, I tell you what, I'm about to.
Now,
You coming in and out like right there. You was really strong. It just phased out.
my location, 'cause I only have like
Most
two bars.
most likely it is. I tell you what, we can definitely reschedule this, and I can invite you to the studio, and you can be in here with me, and we can have a conversation, and that way you can show off your products, and we can drink some cocoa bombs and them little cake inside those type of things. We can do that, and technology happens.
Oh, so much. I am so sorry.
You are welcome. No problem. No problem. Oh, we'll talk with you later.
Okay.
All right, bye.
Okay. Bye bye.
Okay, things happen. There was a time I was get like seriously frustrated about all the craziness that happens and all that good stuff. I would just be like floored, upset about why things wasn't going perfectly. But you know what? Things happen. That's life, and so we got to learn how to run and just roll with the punches, and keep it trucking and all those good things. And you're right, Cheryl. It's okay. It is definitely okay. Is one of them things. But let me talk about something. And since we're not gonna be able to talk about business that started in the pandemic, I want to talk about something that's brought to my attention, and not trying to be, as some of the people say, stir the pot or stirring the pot. Talk about some real life issues. Someone came to me today and was expressing a frustration that she could not believe that in this day and time that these things are still happening. So she began to tell me that she's a Caucasian lady, and her daughters, and one of her daughters married to an African American male, and the other daughter's dating one. And she was talking about the experience that they had just the other day, and she was floored because she in her mind that she could not believe that these things were still happening. that people still feel this way. And I know there's a whole conversation about critical race theory, and some people feel that it's pushing racism. Everybody has their perspective of it. And some people are gathering their information from those that don't want to have that conversation about race. Okay, I understand that it is a difficult subject to have. Is a hard subject, and one of the reasons why I think it's hard. Well, a couple of reasons why I think it's hard. A lot of them feel like, well, I wasn't there when it happened, so how can I get blamed? B, a lot of them like the way things are going, and they want to keep it that way. And because of that, it has really positioned a lot of tension that has always been there. Things have been swept up under the rug. And I remember a question being asked by one of my Caucasian friends. I'm trying not to use the word white. My friends on the other side, but they're my friends. And he was like, okay, what is privilege? What does privilege mean? I don't live in the fancies of the house. I grew up poor, so how can you say I'm privileged? But privilege doesn't have anything to do with your wealth or your riches or your money at all. Privilege is the ability to go in and out of spaces and places without feeling any kind of way. Prime example, when you're a member of certain organizations, those persons that's part of the organization can go in and out. And those who recognize certain codes, certain languages, they understand that world. And because I understand that world, they would give you a pass. But if you come in there and you're not part of that, you would not get through. And that's how privilege to some degree operates. So it has nothing to do with whether you're rich. It doesn't have anything to do with you being poor or your lack of or your more of. It's that ability to pass through. So this is a story. Her daughter was going down somewhere around this area where I live and wasn't speeding. Police pulled them over. Immediately looked at them and was like, you ain't got a tag. And she just got the car. And the windows are tinted. She bought the car like that. And she was like, well, the tag's in the window. I can't put it on the back because we get wet, went through all that type of stuff. And he proceeds to pull her out and he began to pat her down. First of all, I don't know the procedures with that, but I was told that that's not procedural. Now, I don't know that for sure, but I was told that. So he asked her, why are you with him? And she was like, that's my boyfriend. Well, what y'all doing? Why you got that particular air freshener there? Make a long story short, it was obvious to her and to him because some other statements were made. It was very obvious that it was a race thing. And the type of air freshener that they had, he proceeds to tell the young man, to throw that out of the window because he already know what it's for. Making an assumption that because that he's African American, that obviously he must be smoking weed. To me, that was like crazy. The woman was really upset because she could not believe how in this day and time that we still having this, we still dealing with this, we still are facing these particular issues. And I told the story a long time ago, like I almost left the church. I was almost out of there because I felt like as a African American male in the church, like where are our leaders? Why aren't they speaking up? Why aren't they saying anything? Why are you so afraid to address these issues? Because you don't want to be considered unchristian? I read the bloggers. I read the comments. I read all of that. And I'm sitting here like, I can't believe they think like this. I can't believe it. And you telling me, well, we don't want to we don't want to teach critical race theory in our states. in our schools because it teaches reverse racism. It teaches reverse racism. I'm not going to say that there's a possibility there are some African Americans that may be racist, but there's a difference. The difference is collectively the community which I'm proud to be a part of. Most of us don't have the power to push a lot of legislation and so much other things. So whether I hate you, like you, or whatever the case may be, collectively, that power is not there like that. So racism is a powerful thing. It is, and what I'm saying is, I'm not saying it can't be dealt with, it can't be eradicated. Well, let me say this: racism probably would never leave, Cheryl. I don't know if you're still there or not. Racism probably would never leave, but we can have the conversation about it. We can talk about it. We could instead of bringing up issues that has no connections to it, we can talk about it. My partner is just um, jumped in on the line. Hey, hey, hey,
Hey,
hey,
hey, hey, hey, hey, hey.
hey.
What's going on, everybody?
Well, our guest, her cell phone was messing up. She's traveling,
Get
and
it?
so we had to.
I know about the traveling. Y'all, excuse me. We had a community event that I had to sing at, and yeah, we just got off the stage. So I said, let me click in, no excuses. I
Yeah.
gotta be with my partner.
Well, I was really calling. I had called you earlier, and I was like, well, that's okay. You can't make it. I'm gonna try to wing it myself. And yeah. So
Here
here
I
we are.
is.
Here. So this is what I'm talking about. Something that was brought to my attention today. And, this is my alley, and I know a lot of people is a tough subject, and sometimes from both ends to talk about. That's racism.
Uh,
It
yeah.
is a tough subject. Is
It's a
so,
tough subject, and it's also tough when it's racism against your own kind.
well. That's a completely different issue. And this is what I'm learning because sometimes we want to put everything in one box and it's not. You have to put everything separately in
Yeah.
order to deal with it. It's kind of like one of my friends, older guy, I've been knowing like man since I was in my 20s, and he made a statement and he was like, well, y'all talk about the police being racist, this and this being racist. What about you killing one another? And so my example to him, and I often use this example, is just saying the same thing to a woman or a man who is a prostitute and they end up getting raped and saying to them, well, if you wasn't prostituting,
Right.
then you would
This
never
would
got raped.
happen.
No, this one, and that's not, it's a difference when you willfully do something and when something is taken from you.
Taken.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
So that's a huge difference. So what we consider black on black crime and self hate is different connection to racism. Is that a problem? Yes, that's a problem. That is an issue within our community. And it seems as though that ours get highlighted more than any other uh, minority group that's in the United States.
Yeah.
And part of that may because we're more vocal about the abuse and the mistreatment. You know, let's be honest. Most of our ancestors came over here unwillingly for multiple
Yeah.
reasons. And the conversation, they like one person will, well, they sold y'all, your kind sold you into slavery. Well,
Yeah.
that is a reality. But what happened after that? You all went over and conquered their land so you can continue to take their resources without paying for it.
And I think in every part of the world there is a louder race or region, because if you think of the same thing on the other side with the Jewish culture, like they stand out past a lot of people because they experience uh, a lot of suffering in the open, a lot of um, just a lot of, like you said, racism. And so it makes whatever culture that suffered the most, I think they're the most vocal. And so that's why they sort of stand out.
Well, and nothing against the Jewish race, nothing against the Hebrew, and which I have my issues with them as well, because it's documented even with them, with the law of return, that they have issues with the African Jews who say they're Jews,
Mhm.
and we don't
Mhm.
want to talk about that part. And also, even they are having issues, they seem to be more accepted. They can talk about the Holocaust. They can talk about all their birth, and no one says to them, "We tired of hearing it." But
Yep.
when the African Americans talk about their past atrocities and some of the current ones, then the issue is like, "Will y'all please be quiet?"
Do you think, honestly, and this is just a question because I know you're more vocal about this type thing and I'm not. Do you think it's the way it comes across? Because sometimes it's like, okay, like me and you, if I come to you in a hostile manner, you don't hear what I say. You look at my mannerism. But if I come to you in a peaceable way, just saying what I'm saying as knowledge and not as, hostile, do you think that's some of the reason why it's like shut? Because you have that sector group that's like you, that's very knowledgeable, that's saying your reasons of why, and then you have a group of people who have no idea why they mad. They don't even know no information. They just out there fighting, and I think that makes them put us in a whole band, a whole group, and just say, I don't want to hear you.
Well, even with me as being, I'm a calm person. I'm still not heard. I'm still considered. One of my friends said I was stirring the pot.
Mm,
Even have a generalized conversation. So it doesn't matter how your tone could be. A lot of people still not listening because in their mind they already set in their mind where they are and they believe what they believe. And a lot of times,
Now, I'm going to play the devil's advocate because I think people are set in their ways, period. Even when you're talking just about something what we call normal or anything, when you talk about religion, anything. Some people have their own form, notions in their mind. And when you already form, it's like me having a premeditated conversation before I get to you.
mhm.
I already got what I think you're going to say, so I'm going to come up with something. I can't do that if I'm being open to a situation, open to what you're saying, open to what you cannot have a preconceived conversation before you get to a place.
Continue to talk.
So I think that's a lot of what happens, period. Whether we talking about races, whether we talking about religion, when you are coming into a place where you can actually sit at a table and talk amongst other people so they can get an understanding from you, you can get an understanding from them about where you're coming from. If you come into any situation with a preconceived notion or a thought of the way you think a conversation is going to go, 9 times out of 10, it's not going to go well because you're already going to be on the fence. You're already waiting for them to say certain things so you can respond back in a certain manner. And when that happens, nothing gets accomplished because nobody is listening. And I think we just all need to be very careful. I agree. They are not heard. Things are not changing quick enough. That's how you know things aren't heard. But at the same time, I think it's because they already have a preconceived notion about what's going to be said, what the outcome is going to be. And if we can get a group of people that's actually clear minded, not coming with a predetermined motive, a pre-conversation in their head, not coming back to rebut, not coming back to have, you said this and I'm going to say this. If you just come clear minded and really come for a real resolution, I think we'll see a lot of things change.
I think we will too. But the thing of it is, those ways have already been tried, and many people have sat at a table, clear-minded, very knowledgeable, and said this will push change,
Mhm.
and that has been rebutted. Like the ideal of sensitivity training. Sensitivity training is simply put, you don't have to agree with me, but you respect me.
Mhm. Mhm.
That's like you brought up the whole church notion. It's like you and I both have been to spaces where churches believe differently.
Hmm.
But if you understand, if we in fellowship with one another, you automatically understood. If you come to my church, you can't wear pants. I'm using for example. Does
Right.
that okay? Or if I come to your church, it may be certain things that your house does that my house, whatever. So that's a version of sensitivity training.
Hmm.
But many people don't want to even deal with that. They're saying the sensitivity training is teaching hate. Wait a minute, how is it teaching hate when I'm telling you don't look at me because I may have dreads in my hair? Now dreads are stylish. I don't know if you remember when dreads was not stylish.
Of
And
course, I remember people told me I was gonna be ugly with dreads.
and, and so you could not go into a boardroom with dreads. A lot of people lost their jobs
Yes,
over a hairstyle. Now
yes.
this was a
You couldn't
kid.
even go to an interview with dreads. No.
Yeah, yeah. That was considered
Ethnic.
ethnic. Well, it's black. Just don't say it. Black. That
Too
was being
Afrocentric. Too
yeah.
much. You need.
Too
That's not
much.
professional. It's not
Right.
professional wear. Yeah.
Well, yeah, when you ask the question, who says what is professional? I know every place got their own standards and rules, whatever. But when what you could now, the reason why this is an argument because when you see somebody come to work with their hair pink, blue, red, and everything else, and they have another hue, and nothing is
Hmm.
ever addressed to it, and then when you come in with your dreads, well, that's not our policy.
Well,
So
I've been in places because I'm colorful myself.
yeah, you
I
are.
have been
I
in
love
I
it.
have been in I've been in places where whether you was white, black, or indifferent, they did not want certain colors. Now I got away with it because they dare not say nothing to an African American woman, and then I styled it different as opposed to a Caucasian woman that comes in. It didn't look. They said if it didn't look natural, you couldn't come into work like that. And see, for African American women, who's to say what is natural? Because we're one of the, how they used to say, I don't know if this is a saying or what, that every color comes out of black.
Yeah, I
And
heard that.
it's funny because I can come in with stark red hair and they'd be like, "Oh, Joe, you're cute." But if my friend would do it, they would tell her she needs to tone down because that wasn't
Well,
her natural color hair.
I can see that because
Mhm.
well, that's a whole gamut within itself.
Right. So
That's
that's what I'm saying. As far as professionalism, I think where it played the part in because I don't think it's professional either if your dreads are matted together, and I can't tell where the hair stems from. And so I think again, it's about how people present things, and that's the only thing that I'm saying.
yeah.
People come to work, your hair ain't been done since 1922. You got duns and stuff in your head. I'm going to say to you, I need you to go home and try it again.
Yeah.
Now, if I'm offending you, and I tell you that's not professional, I'm telling you your presence isn't professional. Not your hair, not it's the way you present yourself. And I think those are the issues. You get that, they say one apple spoils the bunch. You get that one apple in a conscience. You get a room full of people, and everybody's level headed except for this one, and they present it in such a way that don't nobody want to hear nothing. I've been in
But
places like that.
but then that becomes an issue because if you're gonna judge, because that's what you're doing,
Mhm.
one apple. If you're
Mhm.
gonna judge the whole apple and say I'm gonna throw everything away,
That's
then
what happens though.
that's what. But then that becomes a personal issue that you already have,
Yeah.
and that's the thing. This stuff is deep and is rooted. And the thing of it is, like, I had a conversation with with my son, and I asked him, we had a conversation about racism. I said, what is racism to you? And I can't say what I want to say online, but I'm gonna say it, the initials. He said, when they hang you from a tree and they call you the N word. Well, that's a demonstration of hate, definitely so.
Right.
But times have changed. People are not manifesting their hate towards you
In
that
that
way.
manner. Yeah.
Right.
That's yeah.
Yeah. And then that let me know where people was at. Because, like, for example, a lot of people think because now we got a lot of African Americans living in decent neighborhoods that there's no way racism can exist.
That's not true. They just do it in a different form.
They do it in a different form.
Everything there's nothing new under the sun. The Bible says that. There's
Eba.
nothing new under the sun. They just learn how to mask and cover
Well,
things a little differently. That's it.
well, it's simple to do it, and I'm just gonna bring it up. You pull scriptures and you say, well, if you are a believer and you forgive, then
Mhm.
this should no longer be a conversation. And they tie forgiveness with forgetfulness. And they be like, well, God says when you repent, he throw your sin as far as the east from the west.
Mhm.
And because of that, we as believers should operate in the same tone.
Mhm. Mhm. Hey, I agree with you because manipulation with scriptures across the board.
Yeah,
And people
yeah.
have done that for years. And I hate, even when it comes to governmental positions,
Hmm.
people do some stuff. They pass all kind of laws that we have no idea about until they come out. But
Well,
these things have been happening under the table forever.
but let me tell you something. A lot of things going on now is not happening under the table, and that's the funny part about it. Like they posting, we having
Mhm.
a meeting at 6 o'clock. Now they used to just put it in the newspaper. Now they got it on
Mhm.
Facebook. You can join your city Facebook page and you see the meetings.
Mhm.
We rarely go.
Of course. Well, we rarely. A
We,
lot of us rarely read. Let's be honest.
yeah,
They don't
we.
even read that stuff. They don't look at the news. Like I get more from. I'm not gonna lie. I'm not. I've done better, but I'm not. I just hate hearing so much bad news all the time. I'll read, but I don't want to look at the news about this, that,
You
and the
know,
third.
it's so funny because I think I'm weird because when I hear bad news or what most people call bad news, I don't look at that as being bad news. I
Yes,
look
I know
at
you
that.
don't.
I
You
look
That's
at
your
that.
knowledge pocket.
Yeah, right. I look at that as some information that would tell me how I need to navigate myself. You know.
Maybe that's how I need to start looking at it because after you just hear it, I'm like, okay, is there anything good? Can we talk about something good for a change? Can y'all post something good? They love to post people in negative light. I don't care what hue. They love it. And then to see our brothers and our sisters on there, especially when I know somebody did something good within the month and I ain't saw nothing good on
Yeah.
the television, that gets irritating to me. And I don't know how to deal. So that's my reasoning. It's not a good reason, but that has been my reasoning. So I get a lot of information about things from you because you look at everything, you see everything, you
Well,
read everything. So that's God's honest truth. I can be at fault to that, but
hey,
yeah, I get
you
my
call
information from my brother.
you call Miss Lily Williams and you thank her because she was the one who started all this stuff. I want to go outside and play. She stuck a book in my face. Then
Well, I
that started
appreciate you, Miss
questioning.
Lily.
So, but it's just one of those things. And I know when I share stuff, I know a lot of people saying, "Oh my God, there he go again. There you go again." I share stuff for awareness. It's up to you to go and dig and be like, okay, let's see what this is about.
Mhm.
And there have been times like I appreciate some of my good Facebook friends who have sent me, hey, I think you need to fact check that. No, then I go and remove it or I apologize for, those statements, whatever. Because sometimes you can fact check it. What I mean by fact check it, you can go to Google and say, did Jonisha wear green hair with braids? Well, Jonisha did wear green hair, but it went with braids. You know what I'm saying? And so it's one of those things you got to go deep and search into with some
And
things that you
let
share.
me help. Let's help the people. Google is not fact checking. I know people love Google because Google have so many. Sometimes they right, but some they hit and miss. I'm telling y'all. So
Well,
I
because
know
it's a portal. Google is a portal that bring all the information to your door.
right.
And so,
And people post in error. That's
right.
just like songs. I hate song lyrics. When you say look up song lyrics, you look up song lyrics and you know those are not the words, but somebody wrote that in there, and I'm like, did y'all not think about this week as y'all was
Yeah.
writing this?
case in point, like just the other day we was at choir rehearsal, and I was like, no, this ain't the words of the song. I have to make up something. Like there's a song about the flowing of the river, right? And
Uh-huh.
so you know what should go with water and all that type of stuff. And then it gonna say in the lyrics, water is like a concrete. Like what? You know that doesn't fit.
That doesn't fit. I mean,
but
that don't make
but but
sense.
but guess what? Guess what? To the person who wants to make it fit,
They'll
they
make
will
it
make it
fit.
fit. They will,
Interpretation.
and they would
Well,
they would take they would find and that's why I keep telling people all information isn't the truth.
oh, you better say that. You better say that.
And a lot of times people don't have a
God.
discussion like all information isn't the truth. So just because it's informative doesn't mean it's truthful.
Mhm.
Like I'm gonna make a case in point. I remember when our former president's wife did a speech. No, let me take it back. I'm not the former president's wife. I remember when Obama did a speech, right? And
Mhm.
so he said this. My ancestors were somewhat immigrants into this land. He was talking to a group of people. I think they was becoming citizens. If I'm wrong, somebody please correct me. But something was going on that was a patriotic moment.
Mhm.
And the key word was somewhat. Another guy came along and said, as African Americans, we were immigrants.
Mm.
Two different words give two different interpretations, two different
Yep.
understanding. Immigrants is when you choose to locate. Somewhat is kind of like if I said, you asked me, said, Joe, do I like your hair? I'm like,
Sort of.
sort of.
Somewhat is in betwixt. It's a if.
That's an
It was
if.
like it's like you know I moved not by my choice,
Yeah,
but it proved all right. You know,
yeah.
it's in the mid. It's a neutral place. Somewhat is a neutral place.
It's somewhat a neutral place. And Cheryl, I think a lot of people are on vacation. I think everybody we got three people online, and I guess one
Oh,
is yes.
I
It
can't
is.
see anything.
Yeah, that's the thing about cell phone. You ain't gonna see nothing. We got one on Rare Image, one on Facebook, and one on our.
Twitch.
And we got four now. One on my page, Rare Image, Facebook. It's cool. But in me having this conversation and me bringing all this up, and I didn't go, line by line on different stuff, but just talk on the top of my head because what was brought to me, and it's kind of like when are we going to be willing to stop talking about something and start doing it?
Mhm.
So, when we talk about the United States and the racism that's in our country, they won't bring everybody else into the conversation. Well, China got theirs. So and so got that. Well, we're not talking about China. It's kind of like, me and you got. Say if me and you got an issue, Joe, and
Mhm.
you turn around and say, well, Tawana, or you turn around, well, sure, they ain't got nothing to do with
What we
us.
got going?
What we got going. So you want to bring up what happened across the other parts? We're not talking about them. We can't deal with them because that's not our countries.
Mm.
We can influence them to make better decisions, but that's not our country. We talking about this country that I happen to believe have the potential to be the greatest country in the world, not just for
Mhm.
some, but all. And I think that's where my passion lies because first of all, it's the only place I ever lived. Number one, it's just the only place I ever lived, and I'm becoming more cultured. I'm talking to people from different parts of the world to give a better perspective and viewpoint of culture because I know it depends on the media that you listen to. Media is the avenue that which information travel through, and
Mhm.
just like the internet, There's certain things Google don't let you have access to. There's certain things Microsoft don't let you have access to. There's certain
Mhm.
things Yahoo. See, those are portals. They can tell what they let in and what they let out. They have that right.
Mhm.
So media is the same. Joe, we are media. That's what we
We
do.
are.
And we trying our best to be as balanced as possible. Whether we disagree with some things, whether we like some things, we trying our best to be balanced. Why?
Mhm.
I feel this is my opinion right here is because I know what I was taught, but who says what I taught was absolutely correct? I'm on a journey. There's
Mhm.
some things I'm realizing that dang, that wasn't clear. I'm not even talking about church. I'm talking about life in general.
Right. Yes.
Yeah, like
Yes. Yes.
no, that wasn't right. And, yeah, mama, daddy they meant well, but that wasn't right. And
But
anyway,
I think it's okay to
yeah,
follow your journey if you're a person that says, "Hey, come through this journey with me," and not uh, say that you're absolutely right about. I thought about this person. I don't know why I used to listen to this person when I was young. Rush Limbaugh. I used to listen because people used to
wait,
always be
wait,
saying stuff about him.
wait,
And so,
Joe. Let me interject. Let me take this. Okay, so let me say this. And if Shane is online, this is what I said. People wonder why that I am so versed because Joe, even when I was younger, I didn't know what to call it. But Joe, I was the conservative dude. I got my information from Rush Limbaugh,
mhm.
Fox News. I didn't listen to no other sites. None of that. You get what I'm saying? I always stay up late at night. You hear me? To watch
Mhm.
Rush Limbaugh
Limbaugh.
faithfully.
Yes. I
Faithfully.
just liked him because he was so controversial. I was just waiting to see the next thing he was gonna say because they always was on top of him. But when he talked whatever he talked about it like it was facts. Like that's what it was. And a lot of his stuff was real talk. They didn't want it out there like that, but he didn't care. He did not
Well,
care. He just put it out there.
well, you know what? I'm trying to word my thing. You, if I had this is one thing I'm gonna say about the conservative group that's compared to what they call no, I'm called a liberal, so I don't see how I'm that because I'm more the middle ground person than anything. I don't stray too much what they consider right. I don't stray too much what they consider liberal. Also, I have to understand this: what is conservative today, what's liberal
Mhm.
today? Excuse me, what is liberal today is gonna be
Mhm.
conservative tomorrow.
Mhm. Because with
Because
each
what
generation, things change.
things changes. Yeah. So it's funny because a lot of stuff that the conservative issues, blah 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 blah, they saying now, oh, they just come to the revelation to, that was considered very liberal back in the day. Like, oh no, we don't do this, we don't do that, and all that type of stuff. And so, we have to be careful. So in a way, being called liberal and all that good stuff, I never forget this person called me liberal. I guess that's another way of calling somebody N word now. It's like, how dare you be a Christian and you a liberal?
Oh.
And I'm sitting here like, well, dang, I'm just I can understand all viewpoints. I can. I was in that space, so that's okay. There's the main reason why when they say certain things, I understand that language. I know what they mean. I don't care if they
Mhm.
deny it. I know what they mean. I know what they're coming from. I know, and it's so funny because I'm really trying to choose my words wisely.
Cause somebody gonna look back.
Yeah. Um, there are people that I know that repeat certain things without literally studying the backdrop of it.
Yep. Oh, that's oh my God.
Now, you say, well, black folks do the same thing. Yes, we do, and I get on them the same. I'm like, where you get that information from? So I'm good for that.
Right.
I'm like,
Yes.
where you hear that from?
Mhm.
Where you
And we
hear
can't
that?
tell you. Can't tell
Can't,
you.
well, I well,
Well, I was in the barber shop and I heard them say, "Oh, mm-mm, that's not good enough down there." Tell you, I ain't telling that. Let me tell y'all something. I'm his sister. And I ain't finna come here with too much nothing that I ain't heard from a source that I know is off of news or something. I'm not going, I just don't do it. I ain't bringing him nothing.
Man,
Yes, yes, Wikipedia.
I'm
I'm
tell you
not doing
why.
the Sheriaka.
I'm tell you what I had when I was a kid. When I was younger, I had repeated some information that was false information, and I was so embarrassed because all my friends pointed to where the source came from, and the source was connected to me. And I said, I promised myself, I said, if I open my mouth, I share something, I'm gonna try my best to make sure
It's the truth,
it's the
yeah.
truth.
Because people
Yeah.
gonna point their fingers, baby. If it come up a lie, they gonna see where it come from.
He
Baby, where
said
that
it.
come from? Yeah, he said it. It's like a bad letter. I remember, yeah, speaking of that, I remember when I was younger, it was some girls passing around a letter. It wasn't a good letter. They was passing around this letter. And the letter ended up in my desk. And everybody that wrote on the letter, I didn't even write on the letter. I just ended up with the letter. But I got in trouble for the letter. Why? Because I held on to a source that didn't have nothing to do with me. Y'all better stop holding on to these sources that ain't got nothing to do with y'all. Let it go. Where you get it from?
Man, let me
I don't
tell
know
you.
nothing about that.
I'm gonna tell you something, man. And this is the truth. And let me share this right here. That is facts right there. I don't know if you can see that. That is
Yep.
facts. They, I discovered this a long time ago, and I'm gonna say this. I'm gonna get off the subject because I know street term. We don't snitch, but I learned a long time ago.
I snitch.
Folk on point towards you.
Yes,
They,
they will.
and you only got a few people who gonna say, you know what? We're gonna bite the bullet. All of us, a few.
Mm-mm. No, they not. They not gonna
But
bite that bullet and then try to visit you in detention with a snack because they know they wrong. Don't leave me alone. Don't even talk to me. I don't want none of your snacks.
talking about what
Tell you.
look Joe, they see you and I'm in jail, they be like, where Big D at? Man,
Right.
tell him deuce up.
Right. Tell you. Snack. I don't want none of them. I don't want no snack, no honey bone, none of that. Leave
None
me
of that.
alone. None of that.
None. Because I had relatives where I've been in the streets with certain cousins. They asked about those particular cousins, and none other person ever sent money on the person book. The family always struggled to make sure that
I,
their loved one was taken
I,
care of.
I never understood that. I dated a guy that was in jail, and when he got out, I didn't know he had been in jail. But this is how I realized it. Because when we was dating, these certain set of guys would call him, and he would drop everything. And when I found out, these were the guys that got him put in jail. He went to jail for them.
Yeah.
And I said to him, did they put some on your books? No. Did they write you a letter?
Nope.
No. Did they come visit?
No.
No. Well, then why in the world do you drop everything to make sure they well? But we do that.
But that's my family, so you don't understand.
You don't understand. No, I don't. I really don't. I really don't
Oh,
understand.
I don't get it.
Not at all. I really don't. And that's why today we not together because I still don't understand.
But let me share this with you. Kenya, you are absolutely right. The Institutionalization Institute. I can't. What's wrong with my tongue?
Insti- institutionalization.
Institutionalization.
Come on.
There we
Come
go.
on. That girl
Something
makes
else.
somebody libation, baby. Gonna make somebody slob trying to say all that. Can't
Let me,
get
t-
you.
let
You
me tell
so
y'all
deep.
something. I need some water right here because I feel like my tongue is sticking to my mouth.
It was. You trying to say that. Institutionalization.
So this is what got me. This is what the lady said. The lady who happened to be a Caucasian lady. She said that after the situation happened, Joe, her daughter got pulled over because she had an African American male in the car with her. Then the police said it in a way that there was weed smoking in the car because now anybody who know me, I go to the convenience store and I buy what? What them air freshener weed be gone? I don't know what that's what they call.
It's called it ain't called no weed be go.
That's what I call it. I mean,
You can tell he ain't no weed smoker crazy
blunt
guy.
effects, blunt effects.
It's called blunt effect.
So,
Yes.
so anybody know? I buy those. I do
I
buy
do
those.
too, cause they smell real good.
They smell. Kingdom put in the comment section. There we go.
Blunt
Blunt
effect.
effects.
Thank
Yeah.
you. Help them. He said weed be gone. You know he ain't no. You know he is not in the section for any kind of commercials or nothing, cause
Ah,
that's not even catchy. Weed be gone. That's
we
some
be
doggone spray. That's some spray to kill the weeds outside. That is not for the smelling of the car.
we be gone. Well,
Call 877-94. Weed be gone.
right.
No.
So and so this what got me, and the police made the young man throw the bottle. You know, the bottles ain't cheap. Now let me throw the bottle away because he's gonna say, "I know what you use it for."
No, you
And
don't.
so,
I use it for air freshener, which is what it is. But it also happens to cover weed. That's some good air freshener.
yeah, it's strong. It's definitely strong.
It's, baby.
So, well, I was gonna say something, but that's too personal. I use it and it works. It works.
Baby, I know it worked too, 'cause some of that weed is stinking. And if it can cover some skunk, baby, it can do some stuff, baby. It'll cover that must. It'll cover a lot of things. Now, don't do that, people. Do not go home and wash under the miles. Don't sit there and spray no blunt effects in your armpits trying to cover.
Ken said it lingers. Won't ask me how I know.
Yeah, like Medea said. Medea said, you smell that, Bam? She said, yeah, I smell that. You know your smell tell you have a tendency to linger, does it? Mm-hmm.
Hmm.
Because you didn't know it, because it lingered after you was gone.
Now, what's that you wearing that again? What's that you wearing again? so, so here we go. And this will bless me in a conversation. This is what blessed me after her daughter, because they was on their way to church. That's what they was headed towards. The young man that she's dating is an upstanding guy, from what I'm told, very responsible, all that type of stuff. Kenta oil, that's it. My
Cancer
ADHD.
oil. Cancer oil.
That's it.
You like
So,
cancer oil? No, Medea. I ain't never seen no cancer oil. It was all over your clothes when I washed them this morning.
so this will bless me. This will bless me. She said that after the situation happened, she contacted some other police officers that she knew personally and had a conversation with them. And that's when she was informed that the guy was not supposed to handle her daughter. First of all, daughter 17 years old. They're supposed to call back up in. It had to be a female officer, number two. And so she said she sat down with her husband, and these were her words. And it blessed me. It blessed me to the core. She said, baby, she said, one of our daughters married to an African American male, and the other one is dating one. And we can no longer sit on the sideline and act as if this is not our fight.
Because they family now. I
Yeah.
love it. That's what's so. Even though a lot of people still don't like interracial dating, it really brings it. The togetherness.
Hmm.
It really brings it to a head because now, if you're in love with someone,
You
and
try to
and now
understand them.
you
Yeah.
do understand them because you live with them each and every day, and you choose. That's what love does. It make love says, I choose to know you enough
Hmm.
to stand by you with everything that I know. That's what love does. And I think that's one of the main reasons why, that's one of Jesus' greatest commandments is to love.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Because he wants you to understand each other enough to work with each other to make kingdom happen, to make everything run its course. And we
You,
just
you,
choose. We choose, man, that choosing of
hmm
not to love. That's
and I want to say this, man. I think sometimes we miss this, And somebody might say I'm pulling scripture out of context, but I just want to play with it.
okay.
Paul said, when you go to the Romans, you do as the Romans.
Romans
You,
do. Mhm.
you go somewhere else, you do what they do. To
Mhm.
me, that's a signal of people are different
Mhm.
and respect their differences.
Mhm.
Honor
It
them who
is.
they are and respect their culture. And I think a lot of times we try to get people to acclimate or
Adhere to what we
assimilate
want.
what we are, and all this type of stuff. I don't like color hair, so since you friends with me, you can't wear color hair if you want to be a part of this, right? That type of
Let me say
stuff.
this.
Yeah.
Let me say this. And we're very candid on this show. So
Hmm.
you know, we talk that talk.
Yeah.
When I was in college, I used to be called a fag hag, and I never knew what that was. And I had to ask somebody, what does that mean? People keep calling me that. They said it's when homosexuals feel so comfortable with you that they're okay to hang with you in a way. And so when I asked, why, they was like, you don't judge us, even though you don't agree with what we do. You treat us as people and not our sexual, preference. And I was like, oh, okay, I do love people. So I say that to say this. Anybody I hang with, if you looked at my crew in college, they used to call us the Motley crew because we
The
were so
motley.
different.
The
We
motley.
were, baby. I had an Indian, a Puerto Rican. I just had everything in my group. But it was because each one of us together created a space that was good for all of us. But we didn't. We decided to stay out of each other's business when it comes to things that we didn't agree with. So what I'm saying is, I would never bring you into my space to make you feel uncomfortable, and
Right.
I hope you would never take me to one of your spaces where I didn't feel and we all had that camaraderie to that degree to say I respect you enough not to bring you to a place that you're not comfortable,
And
but
see,
I
that's
love you enough to hang with you and to glean from the good parts of you. And I think if people just learn to do that, even when it comes to, and we always take it to the church, like certain
that's because
certain
because we churchy.
religions,
We
yes,
churchy.
certain religions want you to change right then. But you ain't even giving me enough love for me to even come. It says, with love and kindness have I drawn. You're not even drawing me to come to even think about changing. You let people change and do stuff on their own. You don't just tell me you come to my church, you got to wear a skirt, you got to wear a turban, you got to wear blah, blah, blah. And I'm going to say, I don't even own none of that stuff. I'm not coming
Hmm.
back to this church. And that's how it is. That's why so many people have been run now. I think people are sort of grasping onto that now, and they're changing things up because they're losing people. When you gave me a hope, when I come to the door and I got 50 things what I got to do to even sit down, I'm gonna turn right around
Yeah.
and have church by TV.
Yeah.
And so they realize it then. So it's changing, but that's the thing that if you look at Jesus walk, he was around a lot of different kind of people, and you didn't see nowhere where he judged them. Now he told the truth. He gave them parables for them to understand, and he walked his walk. It's his walk that changed people.
This
And
is
see, this
walk.
is the issue. People have some lopsided walks, but then want to tell me to straight and narrow. And
Hmm.
I'm gonna follow your walk and see where I go, where I land up. Don't tell me to go straight, and you gonna even walk straight. Can you walk the line?
Yeah, and I think we have to allow people to evolve. Now, I mean, where you are, Joe, you been there for 40 years.
Right.
It took you 40 years to get to where you are, and I'm just walked
You
into the
want me?
church.
You want me to come to your level?
That's
But the
impossible.
okay, this the thing right here. Let me tell you what's impossible. This is what making people feel some kind of way, because there are people that coming off the streets already on their level, and they can't understand that they spent 40 years trying to get to a level that somebody off the street come in with a level.
Well, you know what? I'm gonna say something real funny. That's because
Baby,
that's because they never really grew.
baby, that's what I'm saying. The stunts they grow sitting up in there talking about I've been in the church 40 years, but here is a person that has had a lot of experience, and they come in ready for the Lord, and because their experience has grown them to a place, they really come in past your level, and you get upset because the things I've been trying to do in the church for 45 years I've never accomplished them, and you come in for 2 weeks and you done accomplished the whole ministry and it's flourishing. That makes me mad. Now I'm gonna say something about you to make you leave the church, or I'm gonna leave and threaten to take all my tithes and offering away.
Yeah, and that's because, well, I ain't gonna get to that because I won't mess with nobody mindsets and thought perceptions. Because sometimes
Oh,
you
it's
think
8:35. Praise
yeah,
God,
yeah, we feel like that we have already arrived just because we learned three scriptures, and we
baby.
cannot properly exegete those scriptures anyway. And
Come
you
on.
like, you know, he rose. For God so loved the world, he gave his only begotten son. Or
No weapon formed against me shall
We
prosper.
shall
Like you know about
prosper.
that, baby.
No
Okay?
weapon. Uh-huh.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
for, and the
Because
scripture
every time
says
I get
that
mad at you, I'm going to say no weapon.
no weapon. And then or another one right here. In the book of Deuteronomy, God said, "Be ye
Deuteronomy 6.
holy. Be ye holy,
For
for I
I
am
am
holy."
holy. Yes,
And
sir.
you quote scriptures, but you really have not evolved. You have not really grown. What you have become is religious mind set it. That's a new
Yeah,
word.
said it.
Religious
Religious mind said it.
mindset it. That means you have a religious mindset.
Religious mind said it. You said it, and I
You
believe
said it.
it.
Religious mindset it. Somebody told you what to believe, and you're stuck on it.
You
Kenya
said it,
said,
and I believe it.
he said he'll make my enemy my, yeah, they
There
love
you
that one.
go. There you
And,
go.
and check this out. They only use some scriptures
When
when
they bad. When you going against what I told you in the scripture to do, and you coming against my authority, I'm gonna use all of them because you the enemy. You
you
the devil.
you are the enemy. Because the Bible said he'll fight my battles.
Checkbook.
He be. Tallahassee. So when she said that to her husband, she said to her husband, that blessed me. And you know what? I'm not gonna call her name because you know who I'm talking about. She is a sweet woman. I'm not saying she's perfect, but she's a sweet woman. And yeah, she's a sweet woman.
He did his
And
pastor voice on them and say it's perfect.
perfect. She because Joe, this is the reality, and I'm not. This is not just
I'm gonna
about
be driving
racism.
on y'all in a minute. I'm gonna take myself out the video.
Okay, we can go just a minute because it's 107, and I'm gonna say this. Anytime that I want to institute change, and there is a problem, and there's a repeated issue, conversation, and it's my responsibility as a believer in God to come in to put my hand down in that hole. Matter of fact, I don't need to put my hand down the hole. I need to find an avenue to get you out of the hole and jump in the hole and lead you to the spot to get out.
Yep.
And so,
I know.
when she said this is our fight too, that means that she understands there's a real issue, and that just completely blessed me. And I'm gonna say this. My mom said something to me because everybody know I'm a bookworm. She said something to me in which it made so much sense the other day. You
You
know,
know that worm.
yeah, I never had worms, but that's another subject. You got me sidetracked. She said this to me, and I remember because I was always tell her, "Well, that's not what that's not what I read in the history book." Well, when I was in elementary, we had social studies. That's not what's in the social studies book. And my mama said this to me. It sits so heavy when state of Tennessee passed a law not to teach critical race theory. You know what she said to me when I was younger? She said, "All the truth is not in that book."
Mm.
And so when they decided not to teach critical race theory, and let me share something with you. I remember I was helping my goddaughter, the one, KK's sister, and I was helping her with her homework, and it got down to the part of slavery. In that book, it said this: there were people who were volunteer servants who helped build our country. I got all upset. I immediately told her, I said, that's a lie.
Well, child, they don't even have it in the books now, baby. Don't teach them. Baby, ask them who Sojourner Truth is.
This
Thurgood Marshall. Ask them any of them. Harriet Tubman. If the movie hadn't came out, baby, they still wouldn't know who Harriet Tubman was.
I didn't know what Juneteenth was until I moved up here, and I was having
Oh,
a conversation with Tammy. At the time, she was a member of the church I come from, and we was having a conversation, and she was talking, "Oh, we about to have a Juneteenth celebration." I said, "Juneteenth? What?" I said, "What's Juneteenth about?" Because I didn't learn it in school. And then
yeah,
she
they don't
she
teach
immediately
Juneteenth.
right. So I'm gonna say this. We as a group of people who has been disenfranchised, maybe the hardest thing to do, we have to take what we know and teach our kids. And let them know just because you live in a better neighborhood, just because you wearing Jordans, just because you wearing red bottoms and all this type of stuff, let them know their history.
Well, just because they live in a predominantly white neighborhood.
Hmm.
I mean, I think it's uncomfortable, and it's just honest because I live in Medina, and it's predominantly Caucasian. I think the teachers feel uncomfortable speaking to African Americans. You ain't got no you. I don't. Do we have African American teachers?
I don't know.
I don't think so. In the high school, we don't. And it's like one on the cheerleading squad, a couple in the band, as far as dancers go, and then you got several, and all of them probably ours. So
I,
I'm just saying, when you live in a neighborhood like that,
mhm.
I think they're nervous about teaching it because they don't know if they got it exactly right, and they don't want to offend nobody.
That's what conversation.
All of that.
Okay, that's what conversation come into place. Tanya McClatchy says sweeping it under the rug without question, and that's exactly what's going on. It's like they don't want to say certain things now, and so you got to remind, you got to teach your children, you got to remind them where they come from, because what happened is if they forget where they come from, there's a possibility in a certain particular form. It may not be what it was back then, but certain particular form they're gonna lay down themselves and be stumped over again and disrespect all the Cheryl said they mixed, not African Americans.
Right.
Yeah, they don't, and that that's a whole other subject to itself. I don't want to bring that up.
Well, then too, if you don't know where you came from, it's really hard to know where you're going, and it's really hard to know what you stand for if you don't even know what you're standing on. And you accept some things that is offensive to and you don't even know it. You don't even
Yeah,
know that you're being
yeah.
made a fool of in some cases, or what has been done to you should be offensive. You don't know those things because you don't
Case
even
in
know your
point.
history.
Case in point, you got a lot of young African American males run around with these a Confederate flag on back of their trucks, talking about it represents Southern pride. Do you know what Southern
Hmm.
pride was? Southern pride was this: they didn't want the North to tell them they could not have slaves, so they took
That's
pride
it.
in their slavery.
Yes, yes. They don't
And
understand, baby.
so that's what it means. So you talking about this represents Southern pride? We proud to be Southern. They ain't got nothing to do with your fried chicken and your hog eating and
Well,
your.
I'm gonna tell you what the kids gonna say now. It don't mean that now.
That's what I'm
And that's the
saying.
same. That's the same
That's
thing you gonna talk about. That you go. That same thing you gonna talk about. But see, that's because they're not taught. The same thing about fads, earrings in their ears. Do you know that the earring in the male's ear mean you belong to a certain slave master because they went by the earring just like they did with like a cow. They branded you. And that was part of the brand, the earrings in the ear. A lot of men don't know that. So
well,
they want to wear earrings like a woman.
well, I was taught that too, but then if that can be argued, because if you going by a Hebraic culture, that was their thing. But if you go to
Yep.
other parts of the world, that may
Mhm.
not be been. We can do the same thing two different ways.
Yeah.
But when you're talking about when the whole South and the Midwest fought for the purpose of this, because human beings were money to them. That's one reason why
Yep.
that we got free. It was to break the financial back.
Yeah.
And if you know anything about politics, the South controlled the government,
Yeah. Oh yeah.
because even though we was not considered people at that time, we was considered a percentage of a person, and they counted that as towards representation in the Senate and also in the House. So it was kind of difficult to move things around, blah blah blah, and all that type of stuff. But we have to remind them of the particular history. That way, certain things, the possibility of certain things, will not be repeated. And I know it's hard to talk about. I know it's difficult. And I know it seems archaic because we living good now. I live in a
Yeah.
predominantly this neighborhood, and because I live here, that makes me good. I can go to McDonald's whenever I want to, and because I can go to McDonald's when I want to, that means I'm living good.
Until you encounter
Until you encounter.
somebody that's still in archaic mindset, and then you don't understand where it come from, and then it's a whole. I don't want nobody to be awakened by a situation.
Tanya said, "Yes. How can you be a history maker unless you know where you have been birthed out of?" That's good.
That's good.
That's really good. That is really really good. So I just went on my little rant because I had to talk about something. But I'm gonna
His
say
favorite
this:
subject, politics.
no, race should not be political, and that's the
It
thing.
shouldn't, but it
They
is.
they made it political. So when I stand from a position, I'm not coming from a political position. This has nothing to
I
do
just
with
want to know when
Republican.
I want to know when you're gonna run for something because
No,
I feel
I
like
just
you
want
should
to
run
support.
for something.
I just want to support somebody. The thing of it is, I'm tell you one reason why I would not run for anything, and I'm gonna put this out here. It's because our culture have been they're obsessed with a perfect person or perfect less or a person who has not made mistakes. I'm
Hmm.
a flawed human. I don't did some things. You may see some records, you may hear some conversations, and God, you may see some pictures.
Right.
And so because we're not looking at where a person have evolved from,
Hmm.
you know,
I get it.
yeah, we counsel everything. And I'm not.
But some people put on airs as they're perfect, and it
Hmm.
takes those pictures to remind them that they're not.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, I think if you come into it to say, "Hey, I'm not perfect, but this is what I aim to do," I think people will take it. It's just like a person. I always tell somebody, "Don't allow me to find out something. You let me know myself. Tell me first.
Look,
So when somebody come to me with something, it ain't no surprise."
well, that's true. But even it can be spent, and it depends on the hearers and things like that. Yeah. Can you most definitely? I will. I definitely will.
Come on, scars and tattoos.
What was going like tattoo? I thought about getting this tatted since we talking about that, but that's another other story.
Hey, you can.
It's just-
Don't
but
get it tatted.
but it's been over an hour, 17 minutes. It's definitely a good conversation. I
Y'all, I
want
got
to.
people all around me. They got their lights on and everything. Y'all, they making me pull out because I'm pulling out.
This has been definitely a
I'm still in
conversation.
my same spot. I just stopped at the church to get on here, y'all.
So listen, this is not a hate conversation. This is not one that's better than the other conversation. This
No,
is
it's not.
conversation about the reality and what let's move forward from it, and from these issues. And one of these days, and I didn't mean to talk about this. I just know we have to be on
One of
show.
these
Yeah.
days.
Oh, one of these days. Well, okay, let's end this with prayer. Father, we bless you. We thank you. We glorify your name. God, you have been so good to us on today. God, we thank you, God, for the air that's all around us that we're able to breathe. God, we thank you, God, for the activities of our limbs. Father, we
Yes.
bless you on today. And God, we give your name the glory. Continue to bless those who are listening to our broadcast. God, continue to bless those who are on the road and they can't be a part of this broadcast. Father, we give your name the glory. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Amen.
Hey, we'll see you next Friday at 7:30. And that's the women's section.
Girlfriend.
Yeah, so it's gonna be the girls on the next Friday. All right, I love y'all. Peace and out. Also, if you want to support us, I'm about to say blessings to
So,
soul. Lord,
gospel.
soul. I'm
What's
churchy.
the number?
Cash out. Rare image. $26 sign. You have any questions? Email us at rareimage26@gmail.com.
Gmail.
All right. Love y'all. Peace and out.
Peace out.